We're going to try now to look at the observations about the three planets and see what we can reasonably conclude. So let's start with Mars. These are the kind of pictures they got from Mars at the turn of last century. So 1800s to the early 1900s, they were starting to get decent telescopes. This is what we're seeing today. So what they were noticing was that Mars has visible ice caps on the north and south poles, and the color of Mars changes with its seasons. So it takes 2 years to go around the Earth. So if you do 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, you see a distinct seasonal change that you notice in these areas right here. And like, look at that. It's an ice cap. There's no question about that. And this would seem to indicate that what we're seeing is water and vegetation. That in the areas when Mars goes into summertime, that polar cap will shrink and the areas south of the polar cap get darker. So it would seem to indicate that water is melting from the poles, floods rivers, and the seasonal changes, just like on Earth, could be trees losing their leaves. So it seemed pretty solid evidence. So, observation: Mars has polar caps. Inference: polar caps mean ice, ice means water. Observation: Mars has seasons going from darker to lighter colors over its year. The inference: on Earth, vegetation and snow make for seasonal changes in the planet's brightness. Therefore, plants on Mars must cause the change in its appearance. Observation: the next part they noticed was Mars has lines. There seem to be lines streaking the face of Mars. Inference: the lines must be canals dug to irrigate the plants. In short, we see Mars has polar caps and seasons. And the inference from there is this obviously means it's a dying desert planet where an alien civilization have dug a vast network of canals to irrigate their dying crops near the equator in the last effort to save themselves from extinction. Have we gone out on the limb yet? Are we like past reasonable extrapolation? Can you find a fallacy anywhere in what these inferences were? The observations are all true. It's the conclusion, what you could infer from it. Do you see a fallacy here? Now, Venus, we seriously don't have much to observe, do we? It's closer to the sun, so it must be hotter. That's dead giveaway. It's not just a reasonable assumption, it can be proved. And it's something I can actually show you how to calculate quite easily how hot Venus should be. The atmosphere is very dense and the planet is totally covered in clouds. Okay? Therefore, and here's where our inference is, this must be a hot and humid set of conditions with lots of water. Probably it's all ocean below the clouds because land masses cause convection currents which lift air and would break up the solid cloud deck. Okay, so these clouds, that's water vapor and heat, and there are no land masses because we'd see open spots where mountains and other things are. So here it is in summary where they went with this. Mars is red and has polar caps, possible lines on surface, and seasonal color. Therefore, it is a dying desert world drying up, and civilizations there have dug canals to irrigate their equatorial croplands, so they have a very developed society and technology. Venus, observation. It is completely covered in white clouds. We literally see nothing on the surface. And after they decided it was hot and humid and wet, they went so far as to make conclusions that it is a tropical rainforest kind of world, frozen in a permanent, unchanging prehistoric conditions of swamps and dinosaurs. And that's what some scientists concluded back then. Can you figure out their mistake? Where did they goof up trying to connect the observation to the inference, that what the observation was telling you. And this is not covered enough in science classes. And so the next, we're going to compare these early assumptions to later observations. So I'm going to go back for a moment and go, hey, look at this world. It's just a white disk. Well, I guess that white disk, lots of clouds and water, and it's warmer than Earth. So it's probably really tropical rainforesty on the planet. And oh, that'd be like early Earth. So it must be like early Earth. There's dinosaurs down there. Is that reasonable? Look at this one. It's got white spots on the top and bottom. And in the summertime, the white spots get smaller and it gets darker here. That's water. Why would the water get from here down to there? Aliens must be digging canals and they're feeding their civilizations here. Well, wait a minute. If these aliens are in a dying desert world near you, oh, what if they look our way and see Earth? They're going to see, ooh, all this blue water. The Martians are going to invade us. Nuke Mars. And if you think I'm making up that serious level of going too far, I ain't. It's amazing how many people will take a conclusion, an observation, and run with it to the point they are beyond any data set, and their conclusions that are totally wrong become part of public folklore about science. And it's dangerous. It's not just funny, it can be dangerous.